My name is Victor Marangu. I'm the head of distribution at SIP. Welcome to today's presentation. We are eager to showcase what you have to offer, you guys in the diaspora, and how you stand to benefit from what we do. So SIB, our Standard Investment Bank, is a full-fledged investment bank with operations in Kenya for the last 28 years, having been founded in the year 1995 as a stockbroker, operating at Standard Stocks, and then became a full-fledged investment bank, full-fledged investment bank in the year 2003. So I'll take you briefly through the company, and then, sorry, let me hide this. This is what you're going to cover very briefly, a brief introduction to the company, and then we'll look at the product, and then you'll get a chance to ask any questions you might have. I understand this group is called Kwitu Gamechangers. Did I get it right? Kwitu Gamechangers. So we offer solutions to a range of clientele, as we're going to see. So this is a brief of the company. A full-fledged investment bank, fully indigenous in Kenya, founded by Kenyans, for Kenyans. We are members of the Nairobi Stock Exchange, Kenya Association of Stockbrokers and Investment Banks. That's a lobby group called KASIB. And then these are the clients that we serve: governments, fund managers, financial institutions, high net worth individuals, and retail investors. And retail investors can be individuals or even organized groups like this group we have here. So I'm going to share with you this presentation so that I don't dwell on each and every slide and every subheading, but just to highlight a few things that we've been able to achieve as an investment bank. So this shows you our milestones, our achievements, our key awards, and the major transactions we've conducted. As an investment bank, we have two major divisions. There is the investment banking divisions and the investment banking global markets division. And today's context is on the investment banking global markets division, where we are able to look at not only the investment opportunities or the opportunities that are locally in the Kenyan market, but also a venture into more developed financial markets and major established stock exchanges like the New York Stock Exchange, its NASDAQ, Chicago Mercantile Exchange Group, London Stock Exchange, and also the metal exchange, majorly all the commodity exchanges globally. So it expands the scope of our operations, and that's what makes an investment bank more complex than just those activities that are limited to a commercial bank. So these are our major products and services. If you walk into our office, you'll be able to engage with guys who deal with equities and fixed income, corporate finance, research, and the global markets division. Today's context is based on global markets, because all the other bits, we've been doing that. We continue to do that. For example, recently, we helped Lab Trust issue their first rate. The first rate is a real estate investment trust to be issued by a pension fund. We were the lead transaction advisor. So that is done through a corporate finance division. If companies want to issue IPO, mergers, acquisitions, we are able to help them do that as an investment bank. So our global markets division, of course, offer clients exposure to global financial instruments as listed there. And we've been able to establish a fund called Mansa-X, which we're going to look at in some detail. So some of the key highlights. I'm going to share this presentation with you guys. This is just a snapshot of some of our key clients that we've dealt with, especially on the corporate finance division. So let's dive in straight into Mansa-X, and the key takeaway for today's meeting will be: how can Kwitu Gamechangers benefit, or are we aligned? What we're doing, is it aligned with what you're doing? And this product, once it takes you through, you get to understand this solution, whether it makes sense to you or not. But by the virtue that you're having this conversation, it's just about for you to audit it. And as a group, we'll find it useful to engage with us. So Mansa-X, why Mansa-X? Why call an investment solution Mansa-X? Mansa-X was an emperor of Mali. He was the richest man on planet Earth. He used to deal in gold and salt. So very wealthy, but since its demise, then Mali kind of went under, and that was the African superpower back then. So Mansa-X is just meant to inspire the Africans that they can create wealth, and the X there is exponential growth of investment portfolio. So our fund is a multi-asset strategy fund. So we talk about a multi-asset strategy fund. And just to make it very clear is that, for example, if you just invest in stocks, if you buy Safaricom shares, that's a single asset. If you invest in a money market fund, it may invest in several assets, but mostly interest-bearing assets. So now to be able to manage risk and offer more diversity, it calls for a multi-asset fund. And not only just a multi-asset fund, also the trading strategy has to be different. Here we apply what we call the long-short trading strategy, and I'm going to explain what that means. So when we talk about multi-asset, you can see there are various asset classes there are shown by geography. There is a geographical diversification and diversification by asset class. That is why the fund is able to outperform the locally domiciled funds that only invest in the local asset classes. So Mansa invests in fixed income, stock indices, single stocks, commodities, precious metals, currencies, derivatives, cash and cash equivalents. We are going to see the performance of some of those asset classes. And when we talk about a global multi-asset strategy fund, you can see the global representation of the markets where we mainly trade in. We were the first money manager licensee by the Capital Markets Authority by the Act of Parliament of 2017, when CMA was mandated to license a money market. So a money manager is has that capability to be able to trade. We have over 26 fund managers locally, but only a money manager licensee can be able to participate in global markets and trade these kind of asset classes that you can see are depicted on the screen. So this is how the fund has been able to perform over the last 4 years, if I may. Yeah, in 4 years since inception of the fund. An investor who put $1 million, but then by December 31st, it was at 1.9. So this essentially means that you can actually double your initial investment within a period of 4 to 5 years. So that is not a get-rich-quick scheme, yeah, guys. 4 years is quite a period, but considering things like inflation and all that kind of stuff, you have to have a fund that outperforms inflation. We've seen the Fed, for instance, raising interest rates to curb inflation, and when interest rates go up, you know what happens in the debt market. We've seen bonds, the bond prices now start going down, the value of the bonds start going down. And we saw that one directly hitting a commercial bank, a major bank like SVB. So the ability to diversify your portfolio eliminates that kind of a risk. So this is a fund that has proven with time, especially during COVID. We managed some very good returns, which I'm going to show you. You can see, if you compare Mansa-X performance and on average bank deposits, NSE share, all share index, S&P 500, which tracks, it's a stock index that tracks the top 500 companies in the US. There is the Eurobond 2024 infrastructure bond, that's IFB B1 2012. You can see the return on investments thereabout. Mansa-X has been able to perform exceptionally well as at 2022. You can see that ability to be consistent in terms of generating a return. So someone might think that this is a highly volatile fund, but you can see for yourself, if you think you're very safe at NSE, look at the kind of fluctuations that you're able to get. Quite a lot, huge fluctuations over there. So These are the various asset classes that I mentioned earlier. And you can see how the US 10-year bond has been able to perform. Kenya Euro bonds, S&P 500 index, German DAX, the top 30 companies in Germany. The wheat futures, you know, US is a good producer of wheat. Brent, that's the oil, coffee, gold. Yeah, you can see there's that general upward trend on most of the assets that we normally pick. Apple stocks, we saw Pfizer, especially during COVID, there was that upward trend when the vaccine was announced. There was a lot of general interest on that. And I'm sure you've noticed that dip when it comes to the year 2020 and then a general upward trend. Yeah, so the benefit of joining a fund like Mansa-X, we talk about enhanced risk-adjusted return. If you compare to the available alternatives, diversification, you're not only told to buy a plot in Kamulu and just stick with it, and then hopefully one day it is going to increase in value. The truth is that if you buy an overvalued property, by the time you get your capital gain, it actually doesn't even make sense by the time you build it. Yeah. So our fund never goes to sleep. It's a 24-hour market. Okay. So around the clock, we follow the sun. Okay. So our cost efficiency is enabled by our use of derivatives. Derivatives, for example, options, swaps, forwards, and futures. Those are the only form of insurance you can have for your kind of fund. Yeah. So when I talked about long short, whether the asset prices are moving up or down. So if the general trend is that the markets are going up, we say going long, we go long, we invest in the anticipation that there's going to be a capital gain. But also, if there's a general sentiment that the asset price is going down, we can go short that asset and then still be able to make money out of that by shorting that particular asset class. So that makes sure that we are not just waiting for when, for example, we buy Safaricom shares and only pray that they go up. So with our ability to trade, for example, things like securities lending, we're able now to short and anticipate that price drop and be able to also trade on that, take advantage of that. So that's why how we were able to generate some very good returns, even when there's market turbulence. Last year, there was Russia-Ukraine invasion. 2020, there was COVID, and so many things happening. That means the markets also respond to that. And that response is what we take advantage of at Mansa-X, and we're able to take advantage of that. So this is how we manage risk. Of course, there must be a properly defined investment process. Being a regulated fund, of course, that must be there. There's also asset class limits to control concentration risk, where someone feels maybe I just want to buy Tesla and just buy Tesla without being able to get the limit so that you don't expose yourself to in case of a downside. So the sector, industry, and geography limits, we can't say that we put everything in the US or UK or put everything in Kenya. Here we have dealers. Every dealer is assigned his portion of a portfolio to manage, and they are given limits. They cannot go beyond a certain outlay. So it's intraday overnight limits. That's the trading jargon. Investment committee, this is to enhance governance and also make sure that someone doesn't go wrong and just decide only to go get biased on a certain asset class. So we have a corporate trustee that gives additional oversight besides the and also enhances corporate governance. Besides the regulatory oversight, the investment committee, now we have the regulator, the trustee. Of course, regular regulatory audits. CMA is always on our case. They are always checking how we're faring, how we traded, what we managed, and things like that. So the average annual net return for our fund since inception has been 17.2%. That's a quarterly average of 4.3%. So our custodians are I&M Bank for Kenya Sharing Fund and National Bank for our USD Fund. So the essence of setting up the USD Fund is for beloved brothers and sisters in the diaspora. And we know USD is a dominant currency, and therefore we felt there's there's no need to force you to have to convert your dollars into cash. You lose. That's a currency risk. And then, of course, a strong currency against a minor currency. So you're able to ride on the dominance of the dollar. Q4 2022, we managed a return of 10% annualized for the dollar, which is quite high. Of course, the fund has grown tremendously to now Kenyan shillings 13.4 billion as at the preparation of this slide. So 2023, this is what we're looking at. 2022 was a bit crazy, for example, in the debt market. Okay, so things like high inflation, high Fed rates, geographical uncertainties. Okay, and then of course historical market performance favors a technical rebound reversion to the mean. High volatility persists. Agile, well-balanced, and diversified strategies will outperform. That is why Mansa-X becomes very critical to your portfolio. Of course, we maintain a long-term investment outlook that will withstand any short-term shocks. That is why we normally say the longer the investment period, the better. But with all that said, Mansa-X is able to offer you some very good returns even over a short period of time, because our minimum investment period, like the lock-in period, is like 6 months. We have 3 major fund objectives. Our 3 major fund objectives: one is, first of all, capital preservation. The second one is liquidity. You can access your funds without losing the value of your portfolio. Like, for example, if you have a bank deposit that was locked for 12 months and you want to withdraw, you know what happens. If you want to withdraw prematurity, then you lose the interest. So that what doesn't give you the liquidity that you require. So at Mansa-X, should you withdraw anytime, we're able to prorate. We prorate both the return, and we prorate both the management fee. So the minimum investment for this fund is 250 Kenya shillings or 2,500 USD. And we charge a management fee of 5%, which we prorate over 365 days. So if you invest for a period of 12 months and you exit midway, you only pay a management fee of 2.5%. And you can see now we do not deduct our management fee upfront. So that gives you even what you're supposed to pay us actually participates in generating a kind of a return for you. So that is the end of my presentation. I know the questions you might have, and then I'll be able to respond to the questions. Then we can proceed from there. Any questions?
Hello.
Hi.
Yeah, can you guys hear me?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, my name is Nancy. Last name is NGA. Thank you so much for this presentation and everybody's time.
Most welcome.
My question is, I saw you guys have 2 custodians, right? IM Bank and NBK.
Yeah.
I have 2 questions about that. What is the work of the custodian? I see IM Bank is on the Kenyan shilling, and NBK is on the side of the US dollars.
Yeah.
So my question is, what is the work of the custodian? And number 2, the last time I checked, maybe some years back, National Bank, Kenyan government owned part of NBK.
Yeah.
For both banks, how much does the government control percentage-wise? Thank you so much, Victor.
Okay. Those are good questions. First of all, you need, as a fund, we do not accept deposits. As an investment bank, we are not allowed to accept customer deposits, like coming to our institution and depositing funds. These funds are supposed to be held by a third party as part of the regulation. The regulator requires that this is to enhance corporate governance and also secure you as an investor and make sure that there is proper governance of your fund and managing the risk that someone might decide to just take off or just buy asset classes that are not stipulated in the investment policy statement. So we did this to separate also, a Kenya shilling and the dollar. Okay, it's also a way of making sure that we manage. Of course, National Bank is owned by KCB. National Bank is a government bank, yeah, but KCB is also owned by the Kenyan government. So I don't know the angle of as what could be the concern as to why we have two custodians. This is just to enhance our governance and also not carry all your eggs in one basket. You can imagine if you have the cash and the USD sitting in one bank and some, God forbid, something happens. So it's a way of course, administratively also, it helps us separate the two. And also when our clients are also sending their money, not just sending the money to the wrong accounts and things like that. So many things were required were looked at by the time that decision was being reached. So a custodian helps in collection of the funds and also in execution of our mandates, okay? So that it removes that potential conflict of interest if we were doing it here internally. These are all stopgap measures by the regulator to ensure that you are protected as an investor. The second question was what? Sorry, I might have missed it.
Yeah, the second question was, what percentage does the Kenyan government owns KCB, now KCB and NBK or vice versa?
I guess NBK is now owned by KCB. Okay. Hello?
I can hear you.
It's owned by KCB. National Bank was acquired by KCB. Okay. KCB is also a government entity and the government commands the largest percentage. I don't have the actual percentage, but I can get it by the time we finish this presentation. I'll give you the shareholding structure for KCB. Okay.
Yeah, because for me, as a person who will be depositing money, and this is not to send an alarm to anybody, I've worked with NBK, those were 1990s.
Yeah.
And before it was Standard Chartered. So I worked with it when it was Standard Chartered, then it was taken over. One of the branches was taken over. So now having it being acquired by a Kenyan government, I would like to know how much the bank owns, the Kenyan government owns, so that when I'm depositing my money, you know, these days, you're gonna ask all those fine lines or fine prints. So for me as an investor or someone who will be depositing my Kenyan dollars to KCB, I would like to know, and I'm sure other people would like to know, what percentage the Kenyan government owns KCB. Thank you so much, Victor.
Okay, thank you. So the KCB PLC group, I've actually gotten the figures. If you look at the treasury commands 21.5% of KCB, okay? Okay. Did you get that? Hello?
Hello? Yeah, just continue.
The treasury commands, I say 21, over 21%. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, it commands 21%. Okay?
All right.
Yes. So, and because now NBK now is owned by KCB, I think the percentages still remain the same. Okay, but it's still operating as like a separate entity as NBK. Okay,
which means if we are depositing money, we are not depositing KCB, we are depositing in NBK, right?
NBK, yes.
And if we are to query, if we are to ask any questions, we're not going to go to KCB, we're going to go to NBK, right?
Yeah, and because this is a discretionary fund, we are only directing you where to put the money because the account is for SIB, for Standard Investment Bank. So there's nowhere you're actually dealing with the bank direct. You're dealing with us as a fund, okay? You're dealing with us as a fund. This is a discretionary fund. We are telling you this is our collection account because the regulator doesn't allow us to collect money directly into our owner because we don't have that mechanism for deposit taking. Deposit taking is only left for commercial banks. And that's why custodian service is now coming to play to help other players in the financial services industry transact business. Okay? So you will not be dealing with those banks at all. You'll only be sending money to that account, which is account for SIB, where Mansa-X is operated from. Okay?
Yeah, but you guys have the account, and when we deposit the money, we deposit, for example, my name is Nancy. When I deposit the money, I'll be depositing in the SIB account, right?
You'll be depositing at the SIB account, the collection account, but in the narrative, just a minute, but in the narrative, we normally give you, when you open an investment account with us, we give you a client code, which is technically your account, investment account, which you quote when sending the money to our custodian bank. The custodian bank now is able to match your client code, okay? And then from our end now, we're able to receive your funds, your investment funds. They have an attribution mechanism for that. We use a certain prefix that identifies this is money from Mansa-X. Whenever it is deposited into that account, it comes with a certain prefix, and the system automatically communicates with our system, with our investment system, and we're able to allocate you the funds. So that when you pull the statement, the investment statement, you'll be able to see how and which particular day you put the money and how it has been invested and how the fund has fared. So you don't have to worry at all about the custodian. I hope I answered you satisfactorily.
You answered the best way you could. Thank you. No, it's okay. Thank you. I really appreciate your answers.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other question?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yeah.
Yeah, my name is Ashley Thor. I was wondering if this trust is equivalent to the, like a trust fund. I know it's discretionary. Is it like a trust fund where the government doesn't take taxes out of it? Kenyan government, I mean.
Yeah, this is it's not like a trust per se. We are like a collective investment scheme, but a special CIS because we are trading in the global markets. Of course, we are subjected to taxation just like any other entity operating. But because as a fund though, but if you look at the returns that we get, our clients don't pay withholding tax because that one was abolished in 2017. There is no capital gains tax for capital markets products, okay? But as a fund, whatever jurisdiction that we deal in, we have to pay the requisite fees and the taxes, okay? So we don't pass that now down to you as an investor. So what you get in your account is just net of what you've declared in our statement.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
I just have a question. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, please.
Yes.
So, my name is Brenda, no video.
Brenda.
So I was just wondering, what kind of returns are we looking at here? In like 3 years?
Yeah, like I showed you here. You can see what is on the screen.
Yes.
You can see in 2019 we managed a return of 19.02, 2020 18.75, 2021 15.45, last year 15.59. Yeah, you can see the fund has really been growing. 2022 was a slight improvement over the same time the previous year. There's something I want to bring up to the screen, and this will inform you even better. Just in a minute, I want to show you our fund fact sheet for the latest fact sheet so that you can be able to see what I'm talking about. Brenda, that was a good question. Can you see what I've shared on my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, so now, I want to zoom it a little bit so that you can see the quarter-on-quarter performance.
I can see.
You can see, right? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's visible, right? So this shows you the quarter-on-quarter movement of the fund.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Quarter-on-quarter movement of the fund. You can see there is a gross return and there is a net return. Okay. There's a gross return and that's the net return. So for us, we like reporting net return. Other funds will fire you up showing you the gross. And what you can see quarter-on-quarter, those bar graphs you can see there, that is net. It's not annualized. It's for any 3 months, every 3 months, you can see. So the average quarterly return is what? 4.3. So that's why we're coming up with 17.2, because 4.3 times 4 quarters, that gives you what? 17.2%. So these are the fund movements. And if this may give you any comfort, you can see we've never under negative quarter. And I'm sure if you look at some of the funds out there, they normally have the negative number line, okay, because of the volatility. And what makes our funds, what smoothens out the curve of our fund is the way we are heavily diversified, as you can see, where there is asset classes globally and locally, what we normally have. And this shows you the growth. You can see the growth of $1 million invested 15 January 2019 to December 31st. You can see it's sort of a smooth curve, yeah? And that curve is smoothened by our ability to diversify the fund into various asset classes and actively manage it, not just invest and then hope one day maybe it will go up or something like that. So that is what makes our fund quite unique.
Okay, so you know, it's also because you're marketing this according to the market, like how you can maneuver and get like the best outcome, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Most welcome. Good question. Good question.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me? This is Christine.
Yeah. Yes, Christine.
So just to sort of follow back on that question on performance, I know you can't guarantee like performance based on, you know, for the future. You can only provide us like past performance, right?
Sure.
For this fund, so it operates like a mutual fund over here, right? It's pretty much a mutual fund, right? This Mansa fund. So does it track an index or like, does it track anything? Like, how do you base your stock? I know you say it's multi-asset and you have different, you have the global sector and all, but how is that determined? Like, do you base it on?
So we don't track indices per se, because if we were to track an index, that would be like a long only, a passive fund. And you know, with a passive fund, if for example, you see the way shares at the New York Stock Exchange can fall within a week, you can lose almost half of your valuation, right? So we don't want to find ourselves in such a scenario.
Yeah, depending on the type of index, because there's such a long
depending on the type of index. So we don't like, if we were to track just an index, that would be very like we just like our fund would not even make sense anyway. We could not be able to weather the market turbulence, because we saw all the indices dipping in 2020, isn't it? They dipped, all of them. Okay, and you're talking about, for example, S&P 500 tracking the top 500 companies in the US. We're talking about serious valuations there. So for us, we normally say, for us to continue making sense to the Kenyan investor, we look at what is the average return on investment for the locally domiciled funds, including government bonds. We put it at about 12-13%, okay? So we put it as a benchmark and decide, for us to make sense, we have to give a return above that market average of about 13%, okay? So long as we beat that, then we're in business. You can imagine at Mansa-X, if we returned 12%, yet we have government bonds giving 14%. You think that then will not make sense to the investor? And beyond that, we also not only just look at the return, but the consistency of beating inflation at all times. Because last in February, the inflation was about 9.2% for Kenya. And if a money market fund gives you 9%, it means you essentially lost negative 0.2 of your actual value of your fund. The money is there, you can withdraw it, but the purchasing power has been eroded by 9.2%. So we always want to outperform inflation and also beat the locally domiciled funds. Okay, so that is what we want to outperform at all times for us to remain in business. And for the Kenyan investor to see it makes sense, yeah.
Okay, and then, so in terms of the investments that you have, you say you have some fixed income, and then you have the securities, which are mainly, you said, domicile, like local. So what percentage, and you probably said this, I probably missed it, what percentages of each do you is like held in the fund? Like, do you say, let's say 30% fixed income, and then another 30% like local companies, and then global companies like 50%? Like, what's the percentages on average?
Yeah, so good question, Christine. You can see here, this is our fact sheet, and the farthest we can go in answering that particular question right now is to give you our top 10 holdings. Can you see that? Because the actual allocation now becomes a bit proprietary, because anybody can pick it and run with it. Yeah, it's a bit proprietary. So, but we give you the top 10 holdings. Okay. What we put our money in, you can see from WTI crude to Tesla. But when you say top 10 holding, doesn't mean that it carries the entire bulk, just in terms of listing. Of what majorly performed. And for us, we report as per the previous quarter. This is what we held in Q4. I can assure this quarter is a different ballgame. So by first week of April, we'll release another fact sheet and tell you what we held Q1 2023. So in terms of the actual percentages, because again, remember it's a discretionary fund. If the client and I say like, buy me all the WTI you have and get into NASDAQ and buy Upfolio and buy Seagate and everything else, then this will not make sense, because now we'll be executing what the clients wants to be executed.
Okay. Got it. And then this Mansa-X, it's registered in the Nairobi Stock Exchange. Is it also registered in like the New York Stock Exchange? It
is not registered. It is regulated by Capital Market Authority, but we trade in all the major exchanges globally. We have the license to do it. Yes.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Can I ask you one last question?
No worries, keep them coming.
So I'm just looking at this minimum investment, like 250,000 Kenya shillings. So my question is this: I know we are investing as a group. Can somebody invest individually?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So okay.
Yeah, you can invest as an individual or as a group.
Oh,
so
okay.
Organized groups, of course, you have an objective you want to achieve, and I think that's why you formed yourself into a group. That is the objective you want to achieve. But also as an individual, you have you want to pay school fees for your kids, you want to augment your retirement income. So this forms part of your financial planning offering.
Okay. So then you'll drop your numbers and stuff, yeah?
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nancy. Thanks for coming over. I just have a quick question. Yeah. Can everybody hear me? For some of us who don't understand the investment language, can you put it in simple English for everybody? I'm sure a lot of us don't understand what those percentages and stuff are. Yeah. Can you tell us, if we invest, why Mensa, and how are we going to benefit as a group in those 3 years, assuming we decide to put our money into Mensa? What is the benefit? How are we going to benefit after those 3 years? If you can give rough numbers, assuming everything works out in the markets and nothing major happens that's going to mess up the market, the global situation. Can you explain to us in simple language, how are we going to benefit as a group in those 3 years?
Thank you. First of all, I want to appreciate that the group is looking at long-term investment, of course, which you will be able to review every quarter. You don't have to wait for 3 years to be told, oh, you know, this is how your investment went. You'll be able to receive quarterly updates. So first of all, the first thing is the transparency and the regular updates you get on a quarterly basis. We have a 4-year rolling average of 17.2%, and you can see last year we managed a return of 15.59. So simply 100 million gives you 15.9 million Kenyan shillings. So that's on average. Like one of the members clearly stated that we know this is not a guaranteed return or anything, but for us to remain in business, we have to consistently give these kind of returns. Another benefit you get is the growth of your initial capital. We've seen here a million growing from a million to 1.9 in a period of actually 4 years. So there is that capital growth. That is our second objective. Apart from capital preservation, there's capital growth, and then liquidity. Should you want to access your funds, you can actually do a partial withdrawal within a period of 24 to 48 hours, and you can do a full withdrawal within 3 business days, working days. So this is not an asset that you hold and it's illiquid, and it's not like a piece of land that you have to struggle to sell and things like that. The other thing is regulatory oversight. We are regulated by the Capital Markets Authority. The other thing is ability to access those complex global financial centers, even with a minimum investment of 250,000, but you are riding on economies of scale. The other thing is professional fund management. So by investing with us, you have hired a team of professionals who are able to monitor risk and manage your portfolio and deliver these kind of returns that you've seen here, quarter on quarter. Don't worry, our fund is meant to ride the wave even during market uncertainties, and that is why we have what you call the long-short trading strategy. As you can see in the fund description, we're able to optimize returns for clients even during turbulent market conditions because of our ability to go long and also go short on the fund. So as a group, you start to benefit this because of the transparency, the regular updates, the capital growth of your fund, inflation beating returns. Okay, it doesn't matter what happens in the global markets. Our fund is cushioned by what we use, what we call derivatives, to secure our fund positions even when asset prices go beyond what we anticipated.
Okay, thank you.
I hope I was lean enough.
Yes. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Sorry, this is Christine again. I'll differentiate myself. This is Christine K, so not the Christine who's the lead for Kwitu. So are you able to scroll down just for us to see portfolio manager? And then the other thing was, I know, and I'm not sure if you're showing us this Mansa-X because it's the one that was selected by Kwitu, but under standard investment bank, do you have other mutual funds that you offer? I'm calling it mutual funds because
it's okay, it's understandable.
I'm not sure. Yeah. So do you have other ones that you offer? And if you do, can you also provide us the information? Maybe just send it to us just for comparison purposes for those who might want to invest like individually. And,
okay,
and then
and
then the third question is, if you have other investments like these funds, like similar to this, is all the minimum investment 250,000?
Sorry.
The minimum investment for the other funds, if you have other funds,
okay,
is the minimum investment also 250,000? Can you show?
Okay, so the reason why we brought Mansa-X is because we've been dealing with the traditional asset classes. We could buy and sell shares on behalf of our investors. They could invest in bonds, they trade in bonds in the secondary market and everything else. And we did that for a period of about 25 years. And then there was this question of can we offer something better to the Kenyan investor that is inflation beating? And that is how Mansa-X fund came into. Actually, this is our flagship product. We don't have any other fund we run as an investment bank. We run this fund. We could have run other funds like money market funds, balance funds, and bond funds and everything else, but we would still just be replicating what is being done by the other 26 fund managers. So we wanted to be unique and offer a practical solution through diversification for the Kenyan investors, and whether they are local or working in the diaspora like you are. So we don't have any other product at the moment, but we have other range of products that we offer our institutional investors, like pension funds, local governments, and all that kind of stuff. So this is the flagship product that actually makes sense to the Kenyan investor. Not just having products for the sake of it, but is this delivering a good return that will keep our investors coming? As you can see, we closed the fund at as per the fact sheet by December 31st. We closed at 12.36, and you see by the time I was presenting the presentation I did, I showed you 13.46. That shows you a lot of investor confidence in the fund. You know, in Kenya, to grow a fund within three to 4 years from 246 million to 12.4 billion. Like last year alone, we collected 7.3 billion. That shows investor confidence. And we don't give you stories at the end of the year. It is every quarter you can track the performance of your fund. That's why what makes Mansa-X very unique, and we saw it as a good proposition for Kwitu Gamechangers.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, this is Rose, and I have a question. So you talked about capital preservation. Can you please expound that in simple terms? And does that mean that, you know, if anything happens, the bank goes bankruptcy, you know, files for bankruptcy? I mean, just explain to us what capital preservation means. Is our money safe no matter what?
So this, Iris, good question. Whatever I've shared on the screen is what I mean by capital preservation. You can see there is nowhere we have a negative number line. That in itself shows you there is capital preservation, but not only capital preservation, but also a decent return. Because let's say, even if this fund lost 15%, if you lost 15%, it means we'll still give you a return besides your initial capital, right? Because if you lose 15%, that is what you've actually made. Even if you lose 15%, you'll still have 5%, which is charged as management fee. And you will still be up and above. But I think I talked about dealer limits earlier, and traders limits and all that kind of stuff, the stop loss and all that kind of stuff. We cannot watch until we start now seeing we are losing the money. That's why portfolio rebalancing keeps on happening. Why we are so confident about capital preservation is that we say the worst we can give you is a return on a government bond. Okay, the return on a government bond, we put it about 12–13% thereabout. If we start giving you returns of about 12% per annum, then it means probably you failed as a fund. So we are not even talking about even touching your own capital. Okay, so this one should give you comfort. If you look at quarter-on-quarter movement, you can see. And not all quarters are the same. And not all quarters are guaranteed to be high or low, none. For example, if you look at Q4 2022 and you compare with Q4 2021 and the other years, you can see a disparity. But also if you look at Q2 2019, 2020 and Q2 2022, you can see another disparity. So that also shows you how realistic we are in tracking the markets, but also taking advantage of any opportunity that presents itself. Again, as an investment bank, since 1995, we've witnessed financial crisis and we've never collapsed. Okay? If anything, we are the ones who build out the local banks by enabling them to list at the Nairobi Stock Exchange and raise funds from the public and remain afloat. Okay? So we are the guys that guys go to when they feel like they're almost going bankrupt. Okay.
Hi, my name is Gladys.
Hi, Gladys.
I have a quick question. Since you know we are in the diaspora, there's a lot of financial poaching for investments from Kenya, and and I am going to ask you, your average return on your investment has been about approximately 15%.
Yeah.
We can't talk of the dollar because I think that's a new account, correct?
Yeah.
I'm talking about the Kenya shilling that you have demonstrated on the graph. I am asking because the average is 15%. The other poachers who are the SACCOs are also giving a return of 15%. So, Mr. Marango, why would I invest with SIB and not with a SACCO?
Do you have a SACCO that's giving you 15%? You have a SACCO giving you 15%?
Yep.
Net or gross?
Net.
There isn't such a SACCO.
I've just come from another meeting, and that is what they said. Like I said,
but you know, it's always good. It's always prudent to ask questions when funds or people doing marketing for their funds come purporting to give high returns and everything else. Let them give you a fact sheet to show you their track record, their performance. SACCOs, where do SACCOs invest? SACCOs also invest with Mansa-X. Okay, actually, tier one SACCOs are investing with Mansa-X fund. Why would a tier one SACCO invest with Mansa-X fund? Because we help them augment their dividend yields. Okay. Mainly, a SACCO will also put money in a fixed deposit in a commercial bank. Do you know how much you can fetch in a commercial bank as a fixed deposit? If you're lucky to get 9%, they are giving 7% and things like that. So that one, someone lied to you, sorry. They lied to you. We are in the capital market space in Kenya. I could take my client's money there and say, oh, I don't need to trade. I don't need to bother myself every day. Let me put money there and then pay my investors.
Right.
Yeah, that's true. Investigate, find out what SACCO it is. You can chat me on the side, and then I'll give you the truth, whether they are.
Okay. I'll chat you on the side.
Okay.
I'll chat you on the side. And if you can let us know,
thanks a lot.
The dollar account has started. What's the trend?
Yeah, last year we managed Q4, we managed a return of 2.5 for the quarter. That is 10% annualized, right?
Yes.
So our projection is normally 6 to 8% on the dollar.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Most welcome.
Hi.
So let me ask you another question.
Yes,
is
please.
it true that I mean, these numbers I've been seeing that KCB is like the dollar to Kenya shillings, like $1 is like 146 Kenya shilling. Is it really true? Did it actually happen?
Yeah, what happened was, you know, the Forex traders, what they do, Forex, these dealers, these are Forex bureaus, yeah? They were spreading falsehood that there is shortage of dollars. And what happened is that most of the people rushed in to buy dollars, and they created an artificial shortage of dollars. If you look at the base rate, the base rate has not gotten even to 135. Okay, because if you look at it, it was 130, 129 thereabout. But the artificial shortage that was created, and now you heard the president say when you were launching the Imara rate, he said in the next 2 weeks, those who are holding dollars, imagine someone who bought at 138. Yeah, and then they're splitting, and then it goes back to 120. Those people are going to lose money. So the trend has been reverted. Guys are rushing to sell the dollars, and in the next 2 weeks you're going to see the Kenya shilling stabilize. These are the guys who just messed up. It's market abuse. It's market abuse when you whip up people's emotions that, you know, the Kenya shilling is sliding against the dollar, and there's shortage of dollars. There's no shortage of dollars. You saw the president struck a deal whereby we're able to get oil, and we just pay in Kenya shillings. Okay, we get our oil delivered, we pay Kenyan shilling, and we don't pay like immediately. We have a period of like 6 months to pay. So that one puts an ease. It eases the demand for the dollar, and then definitely. And let me tell you one thing: by the time even my own grandma at home knows the dollar is at 145, anybody sensible should know that it has reached its limit and should be selling. But people are going to continue buying. But you're going to see people will take a hit. The bad thing is that when they take a hit, they don't talk. But we know, because guys will take a hit, those who bought at 140, 141 or thereabout. It's just artificial shortage. And you saw that code, the new FX code that was signed, that was implemented by CBK. Okay, the Forex code, the Forex trading code, the FX code. There's a global FX code, but the one for Kenya was actually reinforced to make sure that people don't take advantage of the gullibility of the normal Kenyan investors.
Yeah. So because, like, let's say for example, I benefited from that, I would just change the money and keep my Kenyan shillings, then I'll benefit. The people who will not benefit are the people who will keep the dollar, because it's definitely going down.
Yeah, it will go down, but for sure we can't tell exactly to where. And remember, the dollar remains a dominant currency globally. Right. So we should not lie to ourselves that the Kenyan shilling will be so strong over the dollar.
No, never. I don't see that.
To take care of the artificial shortage, which is taking it to extreme, but just operate within the normal global trends.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Question.
Yes.
My name is Lydia. I have three short questions.
Yes.
Number one, you said the custodian is one for KES and the other for USD.
Yeah.
So INM Bank is for KES, right?
Yeah.
And so what does it mean if anything happens to a national bank? So what is there anything that I mean, what is the risk for the Kenya shillings account holders? And also, if I invest, say for example, I invest and I invest in Kenya shillings, will my money be returned in Kenya shillings, and the same for USD?
Yeah.
And then the other question would be, so if I withdraw my money, the money will go into my account.
Yeah.
Possibly in Kenya. So so if KRA was to see the amount that has come in, would they require tax on that amount that over and above what I had invested anyway? Because there will be an in and an out, and an out will be less, like say 2 million, and then I get 2.5. Will they require tax on the 500,000?
Good. Good question. So when you talk about the custodian bank, remember, we don't collect money from our investors to deposit it in a bank, to sit there in a commercial bank. It will not make sense. What the custodian bank does is to offer us a platform to clear and settle our trades. Okay? So they don't like hold the money just, if anything, your money is invested. Your money is in government bonds, your money is holding oil futures, gold futures, things like that. That money is properly invested. In fact, that you cannot have cash sitting in a commercial bank like a whole day doing nothing. As money is collected, it is always we take positions on a daily basis. So even if that particular bank collapses, where we invested, it has not collapsed. We just change our means of payment. And banks do not collapse in a day. Okay, banks don't just collapse like in a day. And for example, we are not worried about people going to withdraw their money from I&M, and we are worried we are not going to get our money, because if anything, it is no money that they can dispense to their customers. Okay, this is money already held in investments. This is just a reflection. It's like they are holding paper money, okay, in the records to show that this money came in, this money went out, okay? And we're able to showcase that, but that money is not sent to us. It goes to where we've invested as per our investment policy statement, okay? So when we talk about tax, again, I explained that the returns we give you are net of tax. And being a regulated fund, if at all we are to withhold any tax, we could have withheld it and sent you a certificate of withholding. But because this is a capital markets product, there is no capital gains tax imposed on it. So what we share with you is net of return.
Yeah, the reason why I asked the second question was because most of the investments in Kenya through the NSC are the ones not taxable. So I don't know about the other investments that are without, I mean, out of the NSC.
But you know, we invest in the NSE, right? And we trade in the global markets. We are special CIS investing also in the global markets, but we are paying taxes as a fund. We pay taxes as a fund. The returns, we even pay VAT, by the way, okay, on derivatives. They imposed a tax on derivatives. So we pay that.
Yes.
Now, we don't cascade that down now to you, because if we now, imagine now, if we tax you, this return will go below there. What we are actually fighting, and then we tax, where do we take it? We are not obligated to pay tax beyond our tax obligation as a fund. Okay, we are the most audited fund in Kenya right now, I can assure you. And KRA actually sits just where we are, the same building. Okay, if at all there was a need to be a collection agency, we could have been given an agency for that. Yeah.
Understood.
Most welcome.
Hey, Victor, this is Nancy again. Can you talk a little bit about partial withdrawal?
Yeah, so let's say you put your 50 million as a group, and then maybe a year later, you're like, guys, we've seen an opportunity, we need to deploy like 5 million. You can withdraw your 5 million, or you can withdraw your 25 million. You can, depending on how much, what liquidity means that you have. So you can do a full withdrawal. You can say it's 1 year, and we can see you made a return of 16%. Can we withdraw the returns? You know, things like that. So that's what we call partial withdrawals. It gives you the flexibility and the liquidity I explained, that you have access to your money when you need it. Your money should actually work for you.
Is it something like, let's say we are setting up our fund, is it some option which as a group are going to select or say, hey, we want this to be there, or we want this condition to be there, just in case we think it's a route we would like to take?
Sorry, I can explain. This is a discretionary fund, okay? So the client entrusts the bank, the portfolio management team with the fund, and we are able to make the investment decisions on behalf as a fund, and we are obligated to give you a return. Okay.
Hi, a quick question. I know I've not done a thorough research on this, but I can ask you regarding the USD account. Let's say that this is Hannah Kadosi. Yes. Let's say that I decide to invest in the dollar account.
Yeah.
Yes, with Mansa. And how am I going to deposit? How am I going to deposit my USD into your account from the US? And the reason I'm asking this is from a previous experience. I could be wrong, or maybe it is something that happened to me as an individual. I tried to transfer money into an USD account in Kenya, and just discovered that this has now been regulated by the US government over here, that when I transfer my money in USD into my USD account in Kenya, it will only be allowed it will only get into my account. It will go there it will be converted into Kenya shillings, and then the bank in Kenya is going now to convert it into USD, which means I am going to lose the actual value of, I don't know, it was something that was very, very complicated, because I wanted to transfer in USD and to get into my USD account as USD, but I was told that does not happen anymore. It is regulated by the US government, so it has to get there in Kenya shillings. So my question is, I don't know whether you have experienced that from people, and I'm talking about the recent past this year, around January, February, whether you have people who have opened USD investment, and what is the experience with this? I'm just curious.
Thank you. Good question. So if I may ask, were you sending it to a fund or to a commercial bank?
I was sending it to a commercial bank.
Yeah, those guys were making money with your money. It just attempt to trade with your money, because of course there's a trade that was supposed to happen. Because the question is, where did the dollars land? Who took the dollars? Because whoever generated the Kenya shillings for you took the dollars. That's what commercial banks have been doing. Okay, sorry about that. But we have all our investors who want to put money in US, they just send it to us directly to our USD account. And that was the essence of the formation of the USD fund, to remove the currency risk of you having to convert and then converting. And because you convert in the process, some clients end up losing as high as $1 million or 2 million, depending on how much they're actually converting. So the commercial banks want just to play around with these dollars that came. They want, remember, there was that rush for dollars and they could do anything. That is why the FX code was enacted, and we are happy with the way the current administration has really tried to tame the rogue market guys who abuse the market. That's very unfortunate, because they were supposed to send you that particular regulation saying that if we send you money, does that mean that you cannot send your relatives some money in dollars? Like you can't send them dollars? Yeah. So it's very unfortunate that someone could get that unscrupulous, but I don't think we have experienced that on our end, because we receive funds on a daily basis. Every hour we have money coming into accounts, our collection accounts. From Diaspora, we're getting a lot of investment into the USD fund, which we are happy, because that's how we created it. And sorry about that experience. Maybe we will get to investigate it further and find out who are those guys playing dirty games.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
There are people who want to speak, and they cannot be unmuted. I know I'm a co-host.
Oh.
Yeah, so yeah, Christine. Anybody who, please send a message on the chat if you're trying to speak and you cannot be, and you're trying to unmute yourself and you cannot unmute yourself. We can unmute you.
I thought anybody can unmute themselves.
Yeah, I thought so too.
Myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everybody has the right to do that.
Yeah.
Right.
Tell them to just click on this thing, and then it should see mute, unmute, or whatever.
Christine Kadwar.
No, I'm the one who's asking all the questions. I was able to ask my questions, so no more questions. Maybe it's the other Christine Ann.
Yeah, Christine Ann. It's Christine Ann. Christine Ann, did you manage unmute You unmute yourself.
You know, no, let me ask one last question quick. You know, that question about like depositing US dollar into Kenya to the US dollar account. I actually did this maybe a month ago. I just put like $100 in my standard. Is it standard? Which bank is that even? Some bank I have. And I deposited 100 US dollars into my dollar account. And then as soon as I deposited that, it was $90 in the account. And then I'm wondering, okay, I deposited 100. How is it 90? So that's a good question.
Did they charge you or for something?
I don't even know what happened. I'm gonna ask my banker because I'm glad she brought this up.
Tell them to give you a statement to see the inflows and outflows. Then you'll be able to tell where to account for where the $10 went.
Yeah, it was actually immediately from 100 to 90 as soon as it hit my account.
Transfer charges or something, or account maintenance charges that probably maybe had not been paid the previous months or something, because sometimes they have these ledger fees and transactional charges that they don't tell you when opening the account. That's why we also urge you to keep checking like exactly what will be the cost of running an account.
Because if you're gonna lose so much money, like $100, losing $10, that's a lot.
Imagine if you put $1 million, then you are 900.
Yeah,
it is the ratio. Yeah, so it's a huge cause for concern. But just make sure that there are not account charges or ledger fees or something like that.
Thanks. Yeah, that was a good question, by the way. Thank you.
It was a good question, yeah, to us.
Okay, here is Nancy. So, Victor, I have a question because I saw this was when we were trying to, we started depositing money, we had all these issues. Now I see we have the USD account and the Kenya shilling IM. So if, for example, me as Nancy, I'm supposed to send the money, my dues for this month.
Yeah.
And I want to send it. So I have two options, right? To do it in Kenya shillings and US dollars, right?
Yeah, there's something I really want to make clear to everyone, guys. When you talk about these accounts, these are funds. Mansa-X fund as the cash fund and the USD fund, okay? So if you send money to NBK, you are investing in USD fund. If you're sending money to us, to I&M, you're investing in the Kenya shilling fund. But we also have a dollar collection account for guys who just have dollars, but they want to invest in cash because their payables are in cash, okay? So we have to separate just the account issue and also the fund itself. So there is a USD fund, which collects money in USD fund and pays returns in USD fund, in USD, okay? The cash collects in cash and pays returns in cash. So we have to get it very clear. So if you have a cash account and you have your dollars and you want to fund your cash account, you send it to our I&M collection account, which as a dollar account. And then we're able to convert for you, give you a very favorable rate, and then be able to trade. So make it very clear.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Anna is asking, I thought you're sending money to KGCC, Of course, it's a group investment, but individuals can also invest.
Okay, but for our purpose today,
so you have to open.
Primary is for the group, right?
This is for the group, yes. So the group will open a group account. You have the name of the group, the registration certificate for the group. That is what you send to us. And then the key officials or the signatories of the account, the email addresses and the bank account. Then we open for you an account here. And then that's how we'll be able to identify Kwitu Gamechanger group, yeah.
Okay, so for the questions about, IM and NCB, that's for if I personally have my, say, $2,500 and I want to open an account with you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Team, can you all hear me?
Yes.
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 All right. Yeah, I think everybody who got in through the link was muted under Kathy, so that's why you couldn't hear us. So we're going to have a meeting separately from this one to discuss how much we want to put in if you're all interested. We will go into invest as a group, as game changers, maybe give ourselves a year, see our return and see if it's something you want to continue doing. In the meantime, if there's anybody else with questions, you can ask on the chat, or you can bring it to our attention. We can go ahead and ask Victor and Carol. Thank you so much for organizing this meeting and for everybody coming in. For those who are having issues with the link when we joined in, sorry about that, for the delay. It was not intentional. Sometimes it's these system issues, but overall, hope you've had the information, hope you like it. We are going to go ahead and put another poll and decide those people who want to invest, and those who still have questions, please go ahead and do that. Any questions or concerns?
Yes, Christine.
Sure, go ahead.
Yes, Lucy. I'm at work, I might have missed some, but my question is, do we compound every quarterly, and we have a guarantee for the annual percentage?
Is that my question or to Victor?
To Victor. I'm at work,
Okay.
that's why I can focus.
I think you already talked about this. Maybe you can go back and listen to the video, because I don't think we want to go back and talk about this over and over. I mean, it's been over an hour, I think. I'm just saying.
I'll share the video with you.
Okay,
and also I
you.
can give you the answer on the side. You can reach out to me too.
To who? To Christine?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So Victor, thank you so much for the presentation. Carol, thank you so much for organizing things. And everybody who came in, thank you so much. You guys have a good weekend. And we'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, Hannah, and all the best, ladies. We really appreciate your time, and we look forward to any other sessions you might ever need. We'll be eager to assist. Thank you.